I will come to Victoria and Daniel Andrews in a moment, but in the light of the headlines today, again about coronavirus, I feel it essential to add to what I said last night. It is incumbent upon people like me with a microphone or politicians with unlimited power to avoid alarming and frightening fellow citizens. I think people are tired of hearing about coronavirus, but they're worried about what they're hearing and they don't know where the truth lies. As I said, I'll come to Victoria in a moment, but the truth is, according to the World Health Organization, 99% of all cases are mild. 99%. I mentioned last night, and I'm going to mention again, the cohort that's in danger. People over 70 primarily, who have what is called a precondition. They may have had cancer, diabetes, bronchitis, or some other form of serious surgery. They are at risk. But the level of risk to people watching me now can't be gauged by tabulating each day the number of new cases, positive tests. No politician has told people that 99% of the cases worldwide are mild. And doctors feed the alarmism by not differentiating between the thousands who'll contract the virus and those who are at risk. So we've got lockdowns and businesses out of business. And the real fear for my fellow Australians is whether there will be a job come September. Let me give you an example. We're told that Australia has, in round figures, fewer than 9,000 cases, 106 deaths. In 2009, we suffered, in case I'm sure you've forgotten, what was called a swine flu pandemic. There weren't 9,000 cases, as we have with coronavirus. There are almost 38,000 infections. The Department of Health reported not 106 deaths, but 191. There was no lockdown. There were no border closures. There were no calls for tighter government controls. There were no lectures to us every day about what we could or couldn't do. The fact is, the then Health Minister, Nicola Roxon, called the epidemiological models that predicted 20,000 deaths as ludicrous. Think what the models were telling us about coronavirus. At one stage, the Australian Deputy Chief Medical Officer was talking about 150,000 deaths. Alarmism and hysteria took over. I was reading last night an article by a Canadian forensic scientist. Now, we're constantly told to listen to the experts. Well, this woman's an expert, trained in immunology and microbiology, and she's a mother of two little kids. And in writing to Canadian parliamentarians, she said that public health authorities, and I quote, appear not to have adjusted their COVID-19 strategies to take account of the large and growing body of scientific data that shows COVID-19 is not the deadly threat that was originally thought. She went on, there are thousands of scientists from around the world, including Nobel Prize winners, doctors, virologists, immunologists, epidemiologists, and molecular biologists who have spoken out against the lockdown and any forms of social distancing. She argues that recent data shows that COVID-19 is 15 times less lethal than originally assumed. I might add, this just confirms what the Prime Minister himself said when he addressed the nation on March 15. I'll quote the Prime Minister. But the truth is, while many people will contract this virus, it is clear, just as people get the flu each year, for the vast majority, around 8 in 10 is our advice, it will be a mild illness and it will pass. He said, however, for older Australians and those in remote communities and those with pre-existing health conditions, he said, it's a far more serious virus and that is our concern. Our aim in all of this, he said, is to protect the most vulnerable. That was the Prime Minister, March 15. We seem to have departed a very long way from that statement. One final point. Donald A. Henderson was the 20th century's most acclaimed disease eradicator. He's credited with ridding the world of smallpox. He was commissioned in 2006 by the Bush administration in America to advise on quarantine, lockdowns and business closures. He published a masterful response. In the conclusion, he argued, and I quote, experience has shown that communities faced with epidemics or other adverse events respond best and with the least anxiety when the normal social functioning of the community is least disrupted. Can I ask a simple question? Which experts are our governments listening to?